Yeah, but so it's live on Facebook.
Okay. So, Chairman, sir,
Yeah, we can proceed. Amit Singh will be joining us in one
uh,
or 2 minutes.
press of
Yeah,
the
we can start.
can I start the session?
Yeah, you can initiate. You can initiate.
Okay. Hello and very good morning to everyone all present here and watching us live through Facebook. I hope you all are doing good and during this tough times of COVID-19. The world has already suffered huge losses due to this disaster, but there has always been solidarity to show towards our people, society, and towards our community to build a strong globe again. I, Vasu Gupta, President of Swaraj Bharat Council for Youth and Public Diplomacy, welcomes you all to the Swaraj Conclave 2021 themed on decoding India's contemporary security challenges. It gives me immense privilege, pleasure, and honor to welcome our esteemed speaker for day 3 of the Swaraj Conclave, Mr. Abdul Azad, Honorable Press Secretary of the Embassy of Republic of Afghanistan. So to begin with, Afghanistan, India has remained a very strong and friendly over the decades. There has been historical neighbors and shared cultural ties also. The mutual understanding between Afghanistan and India and its supports to their economic development and sensitivity to their needs is something both the countries admire about each other. India's economic, social, and scientific and technological achievements and values are important partners in its development efforts by Afghanistan. Sir, we are really glad you have joined us today at a very crucial juncture. Sir, before we move ahead to discuss further on our today's discussion of topic, which is Afghanistan, India's path towards peace country, I would like to give you a very short brief about Swaraj. The Swaraj Bharat Council for Youth and Public Diplomacy is a youth-driven organization by young leaders and youth centers across India. It has been established in the year 2019 by a group of university-level students as an institution working in the area of public policy, international relations, and youth, and has recently evolved as citizens related to news and media. So through Swaraj Bharat, it aims to emerge as a common platform for youth across India to make them experience an intense atmosphere of social opportunities and then means of public diplomacy, leadership, productive interaction, and public speaking. So, further we move ahead with the session, I would now like to invite our chairman, sir, for his opening remarks along with the vision behind today's session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vasu. Very good morning to one and all present here. Starting with Mr. Abdul Azad, the Honorable Press Secretary of Afghanistan Embassy. Today's special invitees, Mrs. Manisha R. Kaushik, IAS and OSD to the 11th President of India, Shri S.K. Sood, Additional Director General Retired, BSF, Shri B.N. Sharma Sir, IG Retired Border Security Force, along with all the viewers joining us live on our Facebook handles. Mr. Press Secretary, I welcome you to this very first session of the Swaraj Conclave 2021, themed on India's path towards the peace process in Afghanistan. Sir, to begin with, I would like to take this platform to convey on behalf of each and every member of Swaraj Bharat our sincere solidarity to you, your government, as well as the people of Afghanistan during this extremely sensitive juncture of time when each day we woke up with some sad and horrifying news coming in from Afghanistan, which outlines the ongoing brutality, we can say, by the Afghanistan militia in Afghanistan. Even itself today, when I woke up, the very first news that I came across was that even Kandahar, which is the second largest city in Afghanistan, has been captured by the Taliban militants. This rapidly evolving and deteriorating situation even proves the mindset of Taliban, which is indeed trying to prove its baseless and misleading humanitarian agenda, which we usually see on international stage and what we had seen in Doha. So, sir, on a personal note, on behalf of everyone, I appreciate the brave people of Afghanistan. And I even recall my last meeting which I had with the then chargé d'affaires, Mr. Khairullah Azad, in 2019, where he not just warmly welcomed us, but he even shared his vision for a safe, stable, and prosperous Afghanistan. And within the 2 years since the time we met him, it's indeed very sad to notice that his vision has what the vision which he shared 2 years ago and the concerns which he shared uh, is we can say is now definitely becoming a harsh reality in Afghanistan. Sir, at a time when the world is seeing and has seen the devastation caused by the COVID 19 pandemic, your country seems to be fighting on both the fronts. Not just with the coronavirus, but also with this Taliban virus, which is equally inhumane, deadly, and harsh. And I'm optimistic with the fact that the world is developing vaccines for COVID 19. I'm pretty much sure that the brave people of Afghanistan and the Afghan Defense Forces will develop a similar vaccine like uprising and fighting force to eliminate this Taliban militia, which is no less than an evil to the humanity. Excellency, today's session with you will provide the participants joining us through our Facebook Live and attending us as a special invitees to receive updates on what actually happening on the ground and how India becomes key partner in the restoration of peace in this particular region. With this, sir, the floor is all yours for your opening remarks. Handing over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Pandit, for your remarks. And if you can tell me, please, how much time do I have so that I can fit my
Sir, this
remarks
is we have made this individual session because Anil Trigunayat, who was to join us, will join us separately in evening today. So this session we'll be asking certain questions which we received from the viewers, and if someone from the special invitees would like to ask some questions, so we will entertain those questions which will be asked by them. So the entire session will be of 45 minutes, and it can be extended depending on the discussions and the range of topics we'll be discussing in this particular webinar. So please, sir.
Thank you so much, distinguished panelists and esteemed participants who are watching us on Facebook. A very good morning to you all. Thank you. I thank the Swaraj Bharat for inviting me to this program, for having me on this program to talk about what is transpiring in Afghanistan. So first I would briefly touch upon the India-Afghanistan relationship, and then I will use the big chunk of my time to talk about the current situation and what we can do together in our efforts for establishing peace in Afghanistan. So as you also alluded, India and Afghanistan historically been a very strong friend and have had very good relationship, except for very brief period of the Taliban regime from 1996 to 2001. And after 2001, a new chapter opened in the political life of Afghanistan. And India-Afghanistan relationship after 2001, growth from strength to strength, and India adopted the policy of cooperation toward Afghanistan, and our relationship been characterized by very close cooperation. India has been very generous in extending, a helping hand to Afghanistan and coming forward to help Afghan to rebuild, their countries. So India generously helped Afghanistan to, build the human capacity to build infrastructure. So very huge investment from India during the past 20 years in Afghanistan. And India was the first country we signed our strategic partnership agreement in 2011, which is a blueprint, a very comprehensive, document comprising all area of cooperation. It's actually a blueprint for the two countries' cooperation. And India also, when it comes to peace process, India has had a very clear and concrete and stable position towards the peace process, always saying that the Afghan peace process, the peace process in Afghanistan should be an Afghan-led, in Afghan control, and any peace agreement in Afghanistan should be inclusive, and this holds a great significance for Afghanistan, because Afghanistan is a multi-ethnic country, So this inclusivity is very important. If because if that is not there, then the peace will not prevail for long. Any peace agreement. Then India also raised, its voice in support of the preserving the past 20 years hard gain of Afghanistan's achievement, which is very important, especially our political system, which India has always emphasized that the legitimacy of any government in Afghanistan should be based on the popular will of the Afghan people, and this is very important in for Afghanistan, because and we so in doing so we've been on the same page with India. India have been standing by the Afghan people and standing by the Afghanistan throughout this peace efforts, especially when it's been accelerated after this USA and Taliban signed an agreement in February 2020. Yeah, but what happened? Where the peace process stand today? As you know, all know that unfortunately the peace process has led to nowhere. Taliban just used this opportunity to build relationship to get their prisoner released, and just trick the Western countries and as well as the Afghan people, and they just wasted their time, and they used this opportunity to reinforce their fighting capacity. So Taliban has not been negotiating in good faith to reach a peace agreement. Rather, they've been using this opportunity, this advantages. This ban travel ban lifted on the Taliban. So they using this opportunity, going from capital to build relationship and for political maneuver, and to also raise funds. And that's why today we are at this point. Things has come to this point that you see what is transpiring in Afghanistan is it's a human catastrophe. Human catastrophe is unleashing in Afghanistan, unfolding in Afghanistan, and you see now after the Taliban, after the US in mid-April announced the complete pull out of US troops from Afghanistan, so Taliban increased their offensive on Afghanistan civilian and Afghanistan security forces, and they captured districts and border crossing points, and marching towards big cities, and unfortunately as a result of the Taliban violence, we public infrastructure have been destroyed, and more than 1 million of people already fled Afghanistan. Hundred thousands of people been displaced internally, and they rushed towards big cities. I mean, to the capital in Kabul for their safety, and also all the government services, law and order, been disrupted in all those areas, and a lot of as we speak right now, very harrowing stories and anecdotes of the Taliban's crime coming out of different parts of Afghanistan, especially the areas which are under the Taliban's controls. They are like, we see incidents of, the videos which it is floating on social media, that they are raping youngsters. They by force marrying off the girls to their fighters, and they are killing, beheading people in front of before the eyes of their parents. So and this is unfortunately it indicate that Taliban, they have not honored the agreement. They have not been true to their words. So as they have not they actually violated that commitment under the Doha Agreement. So they have not reduced the violence. They are not sitting together with the Afghan Afghan delegation to negotiate in good faith. Though they are sitting together, but they never their intention are not to end the war, but to just uh, get their prisoner released. So we see that it is going to nowhere. Just Taliban, the peace process is going to nowhere. Taliban just misusing this platform, taking the advantage, strengthening their position, and now killing civilians and committing this heinous crime across Afghanistan. And though we already been in the grip of COVID-19 and also grappling with drought, so this is and on top of that, this Taliban unleashing this violence, and this is like an human catastrophe is unfolding unfortunately in Afghanistan. And if you allow me, I will give you some figures.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Taliban, yeah. And the Taliban, one more thing I forgot to mention, the Taliban also, didn't fulfill their commitments to cut ties with, regional terrorist groups. Actually, a lot of, foreign, this tourist outfits, their members are fighting in the ranks of the Taliban. They have joined hands with the Taliban. So they have not honored the agreement, and we see now they are just want to take over by violence. But we are also, our security forces, standing their ground. But taking into account the difficult terrain of Afghanistan, mobility is an issue, and our security forces to move quickly, from one places to another places, and the air force, which was our superiority, over the Taliban. But that unfortunately, because it's we have been left by American with no maintaining capacity and not to service those. So we are also kind of suddenly been left with no, those capacities. That's why we are in a very challenging position now. So American friends could have left Afghanistan in a better way. So if now this is a very valid question, that if they were to leave Afghanistan, why they made so many concessions to the Taliban, and why they give recognition and legitimacy to the Taliban. So if they were to leave Afghanistan, and that's unfortunate as a result of this peace deal we are seeing happening in Afghanistan. Let me give you some figures of the Taliban destruction, public infrastructure destruction. The Civil Service Commission estimated that the Taliban destroyed $500 million worth of infrastructure in Afghanistan. These figures belong to 2 weeks ago, so it might be now, it might has increased now. And Taliban also, as I said, mentioned earlier, they have not cut ties with other regional terrorist groups. They actually been sending, they joined, especially Lashkar-e-Taiba. They are also sending their fighters to help the Taliban. And let me give you some, based on the intelligence, 15,000 Talibs, which were only from the madrasa, they were called back and sent to Afghanistan to fight in Afghanistan along the Taliban. And now, since the mid-April or early May, when the Taliban increased their offensive on the Afghan public and security forces, we have lost 4,050 Afghan national security forces, and around and around 7,280 our security members, security forces wounded, and 1,686 been taken prisoner by the Taliban. And let me also highlight this: the Taliban also committing war crime by shooting the surrendered Afghan troops. They did in Faryab. They killed our commandos, and also not only the security forces, but there are documented evidences that the Taliban committed war crime in Malistan Ghazni by killing shooting the innocent people, and also in Kandahar, just taking out the youths from their houses and shooting them in cold. These are the war crime committed by the Taliban. And since mid-April 2021 this year, more than 20 civilians, including women and children, have been killed, and more than 2,230 people been disabled as a result of the Taliban's violence in Afghanistan. And let me also give you some figures and some names, name some of the regional, terrorist groups who are joining hands with the Taliban, actually fighting in the ranks of the Taliban. They are Al Qaeda, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish Muhammad, and this Jundullah, this Lashkar-e-Islam, this Lashkar-e-Jangawi, and the TTP. There are like more than 20 groups. They are from Central Asia, from Chechnya, from other countries. And a very important point I want to make that unfortunately this fighters are coming from Pakistan. I mean this Taliban, they are using, they are still having their support base in Pakistan, their sanctuaries, their leaders very publicly, raise fund in Pakistan. And this shows a duplicity of Pakistan actually towards peace. They say one thing and do otherwise on the ground, in practices. So this is very unfortunate that Pakistan is still, doing this and giving sanctuaries to this to reinforce, themselves and attack Afghanistan. And let me give you some figures also, like the terrorists, who entered Afghanistan from Pakistan. Let me give you some figures. Pakistani army has trained 5,000 Taliban fighters in Lashkari, in LET, training camp Lashkar-e-Taiba in Hyderabad, Punjab of Pakistan. In the last 6 months, they have recruited members of Lashkar-e-Taiba, advisors to governors and senior Taliban commanders, as they had previously done in 2018, in order to capture, provinces, capital of the provinces. In order to support the Taliban attack, Pakistan terrorist groups have recruited elements disfranchised, from peace talks, mainly from the eastern Nangarhar and Kunar provinces of Afghanistan. And also military network of Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish Muhammad have assured Mullah Yaqub, deputy head of the Taliban, of full support for recruitment of new fighters to join the Taliban. LT also has mobilized approximately 7,200 of its fighters in eastern parts of Afghanistan. Amir Saqib, Lashkar-e-Taiba commander, has established 6, camps in the name of Al Qaeda in Kunar provinces. These fighters are being recruited and dispatched to Afghanistan in groups of 200 people, including 3 to 8, suicide bombers, and 5 to 10 officers from Pakistani army. And approximately 300 Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish Muhammad, and TB, militants and other Pakistani extremist groups have entered in 3, separate groups in different parts of Afghanistan, like Achin, Nazian, and Dur Baba districts in Nangarhar provinces. So approximately 1,800 Pakistani nationals have been entered Paktia provinces through, Ispina Shinga, to increase attacks and violences. And 800 newly graduated fighters from Lashkar Taiba Mujahideen al-Badr, training camp have joined Taliban military commission. So these are some I mentioned this some as evidences, figures. There are like the list is long. So just for the information of our participants I have mentioned, and there are also unfortunately terrorist group from Central Asia, like Islamic movement of Uzbekistan, is Turkmenistan Islamic group. They are also operating in north parts of Afghanistan. And mentioning all this, I'm trying to say that it's Afghanistan is fighting, a war on terrorists. We are not only fighting the Taliban, but the terrorist groups belonging to regional countries. So there is this deep concern that God forbid if Taliban take over Afghanistan, then the fear is that Afghanistan will turn to a hotbed of terrorism and a breeding ground for terrorism, which will not remain in Afghanistan but will spread to the region, into the world, and will threaten the security of the world and the regional countries. That's why it's very important that the international community and our close allies in the region help the Afghan security forces, to defeat these terrorist groups, including the Taliban. And for that, we have been looking to our close friend India, to help us also, and other countries, because this is not only our fight, but we are also fighting on behalf of the region in the world with these terrorist groups. And also, let me give you some figures of the humanitarian, cost of the war, and there are very plenty of examples that the Taliban violated very basic human rights of the people. The marrying of girls, by force to their fighters, and they banned women from attending schools in the areas which are under Taliban control, and they also banned the female workers of the media, the journalists, female journalists, to stay home and not to stop working. And so this all indicates that Taliban have not changed, as very unfortunately some media in the West, promoting. Taliban, the only change we see in the Taliban is that they got more brutal. They are still, dark-minded people with very medieval behavior, not civilized. This is a big concern, and we call on the world to, stand by the Afghan people in this, difficult times. We are, facing these pressing challenges, not only the Taliban offensive, but the Kuwait and the drought, and it is before it's too late. So the world shouldn't watch this silently. Should come in to the help of the Afghan people. So I would stop here, and in the meanwhile, if you have any question, I would be very happy to answer, and I will. If something I forgot, I will again, mention that. Yeah.
Excellency, I would like to add on. As you rightly mentioned, the role of Pakistan. So recently we saw a statement coming out from the Afghanistan's vice president that Pakistani military is providing safe havens to Taliban militants in Pakistan. And what we had seen a similar chain of reaction from Chinese side too. We saw Taliban delegation going to Beijing and meeting Foreign Minister Wang Yi. So do you think that the role China has to play, the constructive role we can expect from the Chinese side is lacking on this particular front?
Well, as you mentioned, so it is no longer a secret that the Pakistan army, they are supporting the Taliban. They are providing technical support to the Taliban. It's no longer a secret. I mean, it's out there. Everyone can check for his or herself. And when it comes to China, we really hope that our regional countries play a constructive role in bringing and establishing a dignified and lasting peace in Afghanistan, because it's also very important for their country, and they shouldn't be under the illusion that the Taliban will cut ties with because we have heard of the reports that the Taliban given assurance to the Taliban that they will not give space to the Uyghurs, the East Turkmenistan, movement, which China see as a threat to their national security. But they shouldn't they shouldn't believe the Taliban, because you see the Taliban have not been true to their words, they have not honored the commitments of the Doha agreement. So they shouldn't. I mean. Personally, I think no one should believe the Taliban, trust the terrorist groups, and also because we very much hope that China play a constructive role. What they have been saying in the public, that they are also, want political settlement in Afghanistan, and we hope they play that role, that constructive role.
Yes, so one question is from one of our special invitees joining us today, Mr. B.N. Sharma, who is former Inspector General from Border Security Force. So he wants to ask a question. So, sir, over to you. Sir, please unmute yourself.
Good morning. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I heard Mr. Abdul giving the overview about the Afghanistan. We all know what a beautiful country it was and what it has turned out to be. And it has been a country of people, a beautiful country, and we have our old relationship right from Frontier Gandhi's time, India and Afghanistan. We have a small window having our border with Afghanistan, about 180 kilometers. My point is that ever since the Soviets came to Afghanistan and then they were to leave, Afghanistan came, American came, and for all these years now you have explained how Pakistan has been playing it has been pushing its hidden hand, the hand which has been hidden, and it is very surprising. Nobody nobody could see what Pakistan has been doing all these along, how it has been supporting. So my point is that we have seen Russian army, US army coming to Afghanistan to deal with the problem, to the Afghanistan too. Then Americans came, they also have left. Unless the Afghan forces are made strong enough to counter or deal with Taliban threat, I think it will be a little difficult to deal with the problem. It has assumed enormous proportion. I mean, the threat, we see that how strong the Taliban is coming. Every day they are gaining control over the Afghan territory. So unless the inbuilt strength of the forces is made strong, I think the threat will take that much longer. And my other point is why is not the United Nations playing a very, very supportive and active role in seeing that how Afghanistan problem should be carried with. My point, in case you would like to elaborate on this. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for your question. Just for your information, very recently, our head of delegation, the Dr. Abdullah, His Excellency, he called for emergency session of the UN on Afghanistan, the Security Council on Afghanistan. Because as you pointed out, the role of the United Nations is very important. The United Nations, we believe, should very actively step in before it's too late. So we already just the day before yesterday in Doha. So we asked for a emergency session of the Security Council in Afghanistan. Yeah. And yeah, as you said, it's very unfortunate that we've been abandoned. The Afghan people have been abandoned at the mercy of a brutal, group. So that's very unfortunate. In the past over 2 decades, completely new generations, emerged in Afghanistan, very well educated, connected to the words, lived with this values, democratic values, and now unfortunately we see that these are now very much in grave danger. Is the gains of the past 20 years, and it's very unfortunate that we see that USA, abandoning us to a group which has no, regards for human rights, which is having a medieval thinking. What they know is what their only weapons is their means is violence. So this is very unfortunate moment, yeah, for Afghanistan.
I would like to add on over here, sir. Although the term which you are using for United States is abandoned, but the common discussion over in India is that US has betrayed Afghanistan. And the reason why I am saying so, because after 2 decades of this war, ongoing war which ended after 20 years, we can't see a constructive solution even after 20 years. The situation remains the same. Whatever US did in last 20 years, we are uh, witnessing that Taliban is just taking over cities like anything. Yesterday Herat, today Kandahar, and it may reach to Kabul any day soon. So right now the situation in Afghanistan seems to be very sensitive and very grim. So do you think that US really betrayed Afghanistan and Afghani people? Because this is what the common perspective is building here across in India.
That would be a harsh word, I mean, to use, but uh, you know, uh, uh, we are also, thankful to America, for helping Afghanistan. They build our army institutions, and they invested in both, blood and treasure in Afghanistan, but it's very unfortunate that despite of all those investment, both in terms of money and blood, and now that they are just abandoning and just living overnight, and that can erode all the gains of the past 20 years. So this all the investment will go in vain. Will be, I mean, reversed. So then one would ask, what is the point of, I mean, it's investing hugely and then living overnight. This is a big, question mark and open to debate.
Uh, we have some questions from the viewers also, sir. So it's a question on related to military interventions. So do Afghanistan see some kind of military support, military assistance from regional partners, especially India?
So far, we have not asked for a military intervention, but that's the possibility is there that at some point, yeah, if need be, Afghanistan may, ask, and then it depends on our regional allies, to decide whether they come forward to offer that help or not.
One question is related to the Indian investments in Afghanistan. So, as we know that India has invested around $3 billion in Afghanistan in various socio-development projects. So, do you see that there is a potential threat to India's development projects over there, and how India is responding to this, the India's specific interest in Afghanistan, and if the situation further deteriorates in Afghanistan, do you see that Afghanistan will see backlash in economic status and everything? So, can it harm economic capabilities in Afghanistan? And as far as this question is specific to India's investments in Afghanistan for various socio development projects.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for the question. Yes, India very generously, helped Afghanistan build road, uh, sport complex. I mean, and dam, parliament building, which is icon of democracy in Afghanistan. Also very much build the human capacity of the Afghan people. Because India is offering 1,000 scholarship everywhere to Afghan people, and under other schemes like ITech also, hundreds of the Afghan, civil servants come to India for short-term training, and also capacity building for our security forces. They are being trained in India. But of course, if Taliban take over Afghanistan by force, and we hear it from our international community as well as the regional countries that they would not, if the Taliban overtake in Afghanistan by force, no countries would recognize them, so that Afghanistan would be an isolated country. And of course, that the investment in India did Afghanistan very much will be in danger. And as of now, also we see Taliban are destroying public infrastructure. They are exploding bridges, destroying roads, and we fear that the infrastructure that India built in Afghanistan might come under attack at some point if this situation prevails.
One question is regarding this, as in this month India is the president of United Nations Security Council, and recently India's envoy to the United Nations, T.S. Trimurti, held a high-level meeting with the UNSC state members on Afghanistan issue. So how do you see India's role during this particular month as UNSC chair in raising the issues prevailing in Afghanistan?
Well, India has been doing, echoing the voice of the demands and the voice of the Afghan people, which is, to preserve the gains of the past 20 years. And we also, I mean, expect India to use its political clout, its political, leverage internationally to, raise the voice of the Afghan people, or a sovereign, independent, democratic, countries, and that I think India is already doing.
So, sir, before we conclude, there is a question, main question from Indians. From that's also a major topic of discussion over here. That we had seen some sort of channelized discussion between Indian leaders as well as Taliban delegations. Although these are unconfirmed reports, but do you think that India is endorsing to some extent the Taliban leaders to some extent from the Indian political side?
Well, yeah, it has not been officially, confirmed by India that they have opened the direct channel of communication with the Taliban. But we know that India also has legitimate security concerns, especially when it comes to Taliban's ties with terrorist outfits, which are threatening India's security. But I would say that it's very difficult, to believe the Taliban, to trust the Taliban. So because they have proved that they have not been true to their word, so yeah.
So, sir, before we conclude, there is a question on Kabul. So, recently we saw major cities being overtaken by the Taliban fighters. So, can you please let us know what's the current status of the national capital? Is it surrounded by the Taliban fighters, and what's the ground reality over there in Kabul? So,
Well, in Kabul, the life is going on, as usual, and but there are might be security threats, but it's very unlikely that the Taliban, can capture Kabul. That's very unlikely.
this was in relation to the recent bomb blasts that took place outside the residence of the Defense Minister of Afghanistan. So, one of the viewers has added on. So, that was the question based on particular Kabul itself, sir. So, before we conclude, Vasu, any questions from your side? If any questions can needed to be asked from you and Satyamja, the people can ask. So, before that, I can. Any questions?
I just add here my remarks as rightly mentioned by Excellency. The crucial role which India can play as the UNSC presidency currently holding important mark of August. So, in my personal opinion, sir, I definitely look forward that India, since during the UNSC presidency, would definitely support and help Afghanistan in the peace process. All the cooperation which is required, all the cooperation which is required to this process for the economic peace from the borders which is going to I think this is all my remarks. I would like to know what
Uh, Sorry, I didn't get your question because
There was some odd.
voice was
It
yeah.
was not audible. Please, can you please repeat it again? It wasn't. You, you can repeat it.
Oh.
Thank you, sir. Network issues for I think my question is done, so it is further proceed further.
To what I have understood, I think you have basically he has endorsed your statement on India's UNSC presidency. And although this question was not very audible to me, but I think he has endorsed your particular statement which you have just gave on the UNSC presidency. Sir, we have one more question from our viewer on
Yeah, please.
Afghanistan which we would like to put in front of you. So this question is regarding the current situation with the especially the women which we are in the Taliban controlled areas. The viewer wants to know the operation that the women are facing, as you already mentioned that they are raped and they are facing some sort of violence. So, what's the current situation with regard to women in Taliban controlled areas?
Yeah, unfortunately, Taliban women are very vulnerable in the Taliban controlled areas. They already, denied women of, their very basic rights of mobility. So they now banned women from going outside without accompanying of a close, male family member, and they were also banned from attending schools, the girls. And also one more thing, I just want to mention that the Taliban also, in the schools under the in the areas under the Taliban controls, they have also changed the curriculum. They are now more teaching, religious and so when they banned completely girls from going to school, and also in some parts they are also committing this heinous, crime of marrying of girls to their fighters. This is very shocking, and women are really frightened and scared. So they just try to stay home and hide somewhere, so that they can keep themselves out of the Taliban side, so they can be safe. So women are really, under threat in those areas that the Taliban control.
Absolutely, sir. So, I think we are moving ahead to to wrap up this particular session. So, before I wrap up this session, it was indeed as far as the information shared with us by you on the contemporary situation evolving in Afghanistan. But I am optimistic that Afghan defense forces, along with the Afghanistani government, I have complete faith that they will fight back. They will fight back in a much more stronger terms against this common evil to the humanity. And I can foresee that the current situation in Afghanistan, definitely remains very sensitive, very grim, but I am very much optimistic on my end that the situation, the peace will surely prevail. And yesterday only I came across a news article that there might be a proposal of any joint power sharing agreement between the Taliban and the Afghanistan government. So I think such initiatives can definitely pave the path for peace. And but although, as rightly mentioned by you, we can't trust Afghanistan because
Taliban.
on a major note, what I personally believe, Taliban is not a political party or a political entity. Taliban, in my personal terms, Taliban is a terrorist organization. Taliban is involved in killings of thousands, millions of innocent lives. What we had seen, Taliban was the organization that was involved in 9/11. Taliban was the organization that is responsible. To all my viewers who are connected, Taliban is an organization that is responsible for many terror-related activities in India. What we had seen in Jammu and Kashmir and all other states in past. So as far as Taliban is concerned, before recognizing it, before recognizing any sort of government, if Taliban takes control over Afghanistan in days or months to come, recognizing Taliban would be the world's biggest mistake world can ever commit, because what I personally think, it will provide a safe haven for as a breeding ground for the terrorists. And if it will happen, nobody will be safe. Nobody will be safe, as COVID-19 doesn't sees borders. I don't think so. Terrorists are confined to some limited borders or some geographic borders. So it will surely have an impact on, as far as India is concerned. India definitely has security concerns, because what we see, there is a full support by the Pakistani administration to the Taliban militants and Taliban militia. So what I think that India has to a large extent I may say that India has security concerns when it comes to Taliban. And there are certain reports, as I mentioned earlier, that Indian side is even in the indirect communication with the Taliban leaders. But I think that India, to my personal opinion, India supports. Even we read a statement coming out from the Ministry of External Affairs yesterday, whereas India highlighted that India supports a stable, safe, and prosperous Afghanistan. And that's what our particular perspective on this particular issue is. We all at Swaraj Bharat, all the viewers, and even it's a common perspective of each and every Indian, that we want to see a safe, stable, and a prosperous Afghanistan. The situation may remain grim, but we are optimistic with the fact that tomorrow will be better than today, and peace will surely prevail. The international community needs to act as soon as possible before it becomes too late. Before it becomes too late. So that will be my words before wrapping up, sir. Any closing remarks from your side?
Thank you so much. We also hope for a ceasefire. Though Taliban, turned down repeated calls by the international community for a ceasefire. Even they also, turned down an offer by our president that to hold early elections. And we really hope. Let's keep our fingers crossed. For peaceful Afghanistan, and that we can only hope at the moment.
Absolutely, sir. We look forward to it, and I would like to present a vote of thanks to you on behalf of each and every member of Swaraj Bharat. A vote of thanks to B.N. Sharma sir, S.K. Sood sir, Manisha ma'am, and to all the viewers who are joining us in this particular Facebook Live. We are thankful to you, and especially you, sir, for sparing time from your busy schedule once again to address our delegation as well as the viewers on this very particular important issue. That's indeed, I think, the most trending and burning issue all across the globe. It's the most important issues when it comes to discussion in the contemporary world. So thank you once again, Excellency, for joining us, and we look forward to engage with the Afghan Embassy in the future. Thank you, sir.
Also, thank you so much for having me on your program, and it's been a pleasure, being with you, talking about the current situation, and also to hear from you and your views and comments. And thank you so much.
Any closing remarks from BN Sharma, sir? Any remarks? Sir, please unmute, sir.
It was a wonderful talk coming from the person who had given an excellent account about how the things are going to shape up in the future, and the entire world is looking towards a peaceful and prosperous Afghanistan. We all wish that the efforts to bring peace and prosperity in Afghanistan will soon bear fruits, and we all have our the heartiest, you can say, support and the sympathy for our brothers who live in Afghanistan, and we wish them to overcome this relapse which has been there for last couple of decades, and everything will have a better prospect. And I'm very sure that the efforts of the government, Afghan government, and all those countries who are trying their best to bring peace and prosperity in Afghanistan will definitely yield the ways and the opening for peaceful Afghanistan. With these words, I thank the speaker for his wonderful presentation. Thank you, Salat Bharat, for this.
Yeah, I just want to also one sentence, just one last remark that thank you, Mr. Sharma, for your support. India and Afghanistan stood by each other through the thick and thin of time. Yeah, and we really appreciate the supports of the Afghan people and the will of the Afghan people. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, sir, for joining us.
Thank you. Okay.
Nam- Thanks a lot, sir. Namaste.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.